So just keep it on this only.
Some ENT related photograph should be, or ENT or ophthalmology related photographs should also be there.
Sir, I'll change it. I'll change it. We have some participants there.
Yes. Okay. So it's final that we do all the sessions on Zoom.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. And every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
आज तो Tuesday है. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Sorry, every Tuesday. Yeah, sorry, every Tuesday at 7 p.m.
What's the plan now? Waiting for.
I'll just.
What time will we be starting? We have about, I think, few participants are there. It's
7:20 now.
yeah.
We have
No,
announced.
not 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
लगाने रिकॉर्ड भी कर सकते हो आप छोड़ के क्लिक कर दो
हाँ, इसका मैं रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन किया हुआ है, तो उसको
Should we send a reminder in the group?
I have just sent.
Okay.
Shall we start?
It's 7:25.
Good evening. Shall we start? Because we are delaying. It's 7:25, 26 almost.
I think we can start. Oni sir,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
I think we have about some participants are there, and I'm sure more of them will join.
Yeah.
We can start, I think.
Yes, sir. I'm just trying to move my slides. Actually, my slides are not moving right now.
Just press the escape button.
Yes, now it's moving. Right, sir. All right. I think we can start, sir.
Yes.
Okay. A very good evening to all the participants and a very warm welcome on behalf of all the faculty members of the Department of ENT and Ophthalmology from MEU India. It is indeed an honor for me to introduce the esteemed faculty members who would be taking you through the journey of CBME in the subjects of ENT and ophthalmology. First of all, Dr. Sanjay Bedi sir, who is very well known to all of us, a professor in pathology in the Adesh Institute of Medical Sciences, Bathinda, Punjab. Sir has extensive experience in medical education, and he is an inspiration for us. Would request everybody to please mute themselves, the speaker. Please mute yourselves, participants.
I have muted everyone.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Dr. Uni Krishnan, sir, Professor ENT and member of MEU, Amrita Institute of Medical Sciences, Kochi. The slides are, this movement is a little slow. I'm just trying it. Please give me a moment. Dr. Sheenal Kothari, ma'am, who's the Associate Professor in the Department of ENT, MGM Medical College. Ma'am, who's the Professor and Head of Department in the Department of ENT, People's Medical College and Research Center, Bhopal. Madam is also a reviewer of IGOHNH, member of the Board of Studies, and a member of the Board of Management. That's myself, Dr. Anuja Bhargav. I'm an Associate Professor and Head of Department, Department of ENT, the Assistant Registrar of Academics at ERAS University, Lucknow, the Skill in Charge, the Member Curriculum Committee, and also a Mahifema Fellow, Batch 2020. Dr. Rashmi Jain, ma'am, who is from the Department of Ophthalmology. And the most striking and interesting part of our course would be that ENT and ophthalmology, people would be doing the course together. And I'm sure this will give us a way to understand our journey into CBME a little more better. Dr. Rashmi Jain, ma'am, is an additional professor in the Department of Ophthalmology, Yenupua Medical College, Mangalore. Ma'am is a member of the MEU and the Curriculum Committee. Ma'am is also in charge of the University Skill Lab. Ma'am is a fellow, and ma'am is done her ACME course and a postgraduate diploma in bioethics and medical ethics. Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Subramaniam, ma'am, the professor and head of Department of Otolaryngology, Yenapoa Medical College, again a Famafoyer from Coimbatore, coordinator MEU, and a member of the YMC. Dr. Ajit Kumar Khilani, who's a professor in the Department of ENT at Gujarat. Dr. Ajit is a MEU coordinator and an ACME batch 2014. To some of us, these terms may be new, and that is why we had given and shared the Google form to ask you what has been your journey in medical education. Dr. Namit Kant Singh, who's a professor in the Department of ENT at Katuri Medical College, Guntur. And we have some more faculty members who would be joining from the Department of Ophthalmology. Thank you. I now hand over to Dr. Ushni Krishnan sir for the first session on CBME. Thank you. Dr. Uni sir, could you please share your slides?
Yeah, I just. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Dr. Anuja. So, how many are we here now? Dr. Sanjay, how many? There are quite a good number, looks like. Yeah. So,
29.
yeah. So, welcome all. It's finally good to actually start the journey. It has been quite some time in preparation. So, the idea is to take you all through the various aspects of CBME and the new curriculum and the requirements that we have as teaching faculty in terms of setting the timetable, the teaching learning method, assessment modalities, some of which are mild variations from previous curriculum, and some are there are few which are totally new things. So this is a journey that we all have to share together, and some of us have a little head start. So the idea is to be like hand holding. So we are stretching our hands, and there are people the next level can hold it, and so on down the chain, so that all of us finally to be abreast at when we reach uh, the end of the road, the tape, when we reach the end of the run. That is would be when the students come to us, and we have to transform them from incompetence to competence. Right, so the idea of my talk basically is like an introduction to CBME. Here we go. Is it visible? Yeah, is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah, right. So over the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, this is a general idea. Please keep in mind that this will not be a very subject specific talk, not much of actual ENT ophthalmology. Basically, the idea to give you an idea about what is meant by CBME. Again, for many of you all, actually, I've not seen that Google form. I'm sorry, it's a mistake on my part. I've not actually accessed the Google form to see how many have done the course and how many not. So for all those who have done, I'm sure most of this would be uh, quite familiar. But for those who have not, I would like to give a sort of friendly warning. There's a lot of new terminologies coming up in this talk, so please be excused for that. It can't be done away with, because those are inherent part of this as this talk of CBM. Right. So if I could just read this sentence, it's a long sentence. Everyday students were subject to interminable lecture of a long thing. Evenings were given out reading. So if you just read through this entire, it's a quote. Many of us who have done MBBS during the 80s and 90s, and many of you all who are teaching now, many of us would find it as very familiar. So since it's not a live interactive session, I can't stop now and look around the audience and ask, do you know who said this and when? So actually, you'll be surprised to know that it's not a very recent quote. It's actually Abraham Flexner saying it in 1910. So it's a very interesting thing to go back to the history of our medical education. All of the things, MBBS courses that have happened all over the world, including in India for a long period of time, has been what is called as the Flexnerian pattern. And the Flexnerian person is this Abraham Flexner, 1910, who incidentally was not a medical person. His brother was, and when there was a plan to sort of have a survey of the hospitals in the US, which was in a pretty bad state, he did a detailed survey. I think, not mistaken, he was an engineer or some other profession. He went to Germany and France and studied the hospitals there, came back and went all over the country, that is the USA. And these were some of it's a long report, and some of the findings I've just taken a quote from there just because it struck me that it was so similar to what's happening now. And then he made up a lot of suggestions and instructions, and from which came the present pattern, or what used to be there from the 20s onwards till very recent, the Flexnerian mode of education, which now there has been a thought to progress change further. So why is that, and changing to what is what the talk will be about. So objectives of my talk will be to introduce the concept of competency, introduce the concept of competency-based medical education, some definitions and aspects as mandated by the MCA or no, the MMC, and awareness of the GMER. Yeah. So when we, in general terms, when we say competence and competency, it sounds very like hair splitting. What's the big difference? Just one word at the end. And it is so, if you would look at any normal English dictionary, that it just means the ability to do something successfully, efficiently. But when it comes to us, when you talk of competency, the CBME aspect, then there is minor but very significant difference between these few terms. And we look at that. Now, this is a very busy slide, not a very good slide in traditional terms because it's full. But what I'm trying to show here is there are so many ways of defining skill and competency. If you look at the dictionary, if you look at various manuals, or depending on your job, you could define skill and competency in very, very many ways. Skill could be called as something that's learned in order to be able to carry out one or more job functions. While competency is the ability that we incorporate a skill, but is more than all. That's a key word here. When you say competency in general, it's something more than skill. It includes not just the skill to do something properly, but also includes abilities, behavior, skills, knowledge that is fundamental to the use of a skill. So these are again, I'm still on generic terms here. Yeah, sorry. So this now, let me take you through a drive of analogy. So this is analogous to, you are familiar with this book which I've shown here. This is a driving license book. So when you want to, or when, let's say our children are here, or elders now, when our children want to learn driving, what's the first step? You have to study this book. And you finish reading this book, and does that make you competent to drive? No. You have just know the rules as given in the book. So that's the first step. You're not yet competent. Then slowly you get into the car with the L board, and you have a instructor next to you who actually starts teaching you things, and you start learning to drive. And most of it would actually, as you know, be done by the instructor sitting by the side. Are you competent yet? No. Then slowly you will skip the next few days to months, and you actually are now without the instructor, but you're still a new driver at the wheel. You've got the elbow in your car and you're driving very carefully. Are you competent enough? Maybe you're competent by the book, you've got a driver's license, but not really competent to drive in any given car or any given road. Then slowly you go to the next step of being a competent driver. This, of course, comes with experience and with the practice. And then maybe you could be a master, that is, I've shown Narayan Karthikeyan. So it could be anybody, Lewis Hamilton, just an example of a very masterful driver. So these are the various steps to becoming competent. Now, would you say that this person, an expert driver here, is competent in all aspects? If you say yes, then just look at these pictures. These are very familiar pictures for us in India, especially. A very, very congested traffic road in a city, or in a village, a very, very poor quality road, or again in place you have all sorts of vehicles, all shapes and sizes, and all attitudes. So the same expert driver whom we are declared competent, would they be competent to drive on this road? Definitely not. So here again, this competency is different. So somebody who can drive expertly in F1 would not be considered competent if you have to drive in one of these roads. So that's how the competency differs. So the concept of competency is not a static one, and it's a similar thing in medical education. If we say competency, it just doesn't mean that you are a good doctor. The good old concept of you have cleared MBBS exam with flying colors and now you become a good doctor for practice. So that is not enough. So this we know when we say in medical education, it should be a combination of the heart, the hand, and the mind. The mind studies from books the knowledge that knows what. The hands become trained to do a skill, so knows how. And the heart does the attitude part, know why. So all these combined together becomes an ability, and this combination is very, very important in our field of medicine. It should be taught in medical education. Now we are slowly going into the realm of the definitions. So competency is one definition, is the capability to apply or use a set of related knowledge, skills, and abilities to successfully perform critical work functions in a defined work setting. So again, you could sort of imagine these statements in any field. Like if you go back to the driving analogy, so you need the knowledge of all the rules, you need the skills of your hands and feet, and then the heart right? The abilities, attitude should be good to perform the critical work function of driving safely on a given road from point A to point B. So that's the analogy, but of course we can apply it in any field actually, and to medical education also. So these are proposed definitions by the international CBME collaborators. So competent is, again, these are all complex definitions. I would request you to look at least at the underlying terms, which would sort of give some idea. Now we are specifically talking about medical education now. So competent is possessing the required abilities in all domains in a certain context at a defined stage of medical education. So at the defined stage underlined because it means phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So in phase 1, you should have certain abilities in the domains of, let's say, anesthesiology that way, and so on and so forth. That's competent. Competence is the array of abilities across multiple domains or aspects of physician performance in a certain context. So maybe you randomly pick a student who is in the third phase, and ask him or her to explain something or do something. So an array of abilities are now required, and this should be done. So it's a competence to do that. Competency is an observable ability. That's a keyword here that is underlined. Observable ability of a health professional integrating multiple components in this knowledge, skill, values, attitudes that you've already seen. But here the keyword is observable ability. So it's not good just enough that a student says that I got 80% marks, or I can do a blood collection without causing any pain at one shot. It's not just enough for the student to say it, or a mark sheet to say it, or a logbook to say it, but it should be observed. Only then becomes a competency. And then we have the big one, that is the CBME. It has been defined thus: an outcomes-based approach to the design, implementation, assessment, and evaluation of medical education programs using an organizing framework of competencies. Again, it's very, very technical, sounds very complicated, but just break it down in your mind. So outcomes-based, that's one keyword here, outcomes-based. We'll keep harping on this all to the talks and further also. That's outcomes-based. So we're talking of what is our end product. Our end product should be a competent physician, a competent doctor. That is the outcome. And so everything is based on that. The approach is based to achieving that, a competent physician at the end of the course, at the end of the teaching learning program. So when you say medical education, is not just about teaching. It's about the design, the implementation of the program, the assessment that is involved, and the evaluation of the program itself. When we say assessment, we mean assessment of the students concerned, the examination that we conduct. And the evaluation, we say, we mean that at the end of the program, the evaluation of the entire program. So let's say 2-3 years have passed by after implementing CBME, and then you take a look back and see how other students, how is the end product. So all that is involved using an organizing framework competency. So this is what we have all to learn, that we have to learn to make these organizing framework and learn to operate within this organizing framework. It's not that this is my style, this is how the way I have done it, and this is how I learned. This is how I have taught my students all these years. No, there is a framework that has been set by MCI under the GME regulations. So we have to operate within that framework to do all these things, and the final thing is the final outcome being a competent physician. Yeah, so just to again going to each of these terms. So competency, what we mean is to think of a verb, think of an action. You can simplify it in each of your minds in your own terms. People who have any other hobbies, whether it's sports or whether it is cooking or whether it's anything, you can take any one activity that is comes to your mind and think of that, an activity that needs to be done. So like sports person, if you are a sports person, and this is just my personal bias, like I think of cricket first. So an activity that needs to be done. So competency, I would say, is to play what is called as a forward defensive stroke, a perfect forward defensive stroke. That's a competency. The activity that needs to be done. So who's competent? So in the analogy that I gave, it would be a batsman who can do it, a person who can actually do that that action, that activity. What is competence? The actual activity that is done. So now, like we are, again from my analogy, we are on the field and the bowler has bowled the ball, and this particular batsman has played a perfect forward defensive stroke, which we are all watching. And so that's a competence. So that would be the action being done. So competency is the activity that needs to be done. Competent, the person who can do it. Competence would be the actual activity. Again, if I have to go back to driving analogy, again, it's very simple to put in those terms also. You could take any one competency. It need not necessarily be to drive successfully from point A to point B. It could be successfully or correctly change gears from first to third on the road. So that would be the competency. So competent would be the person who can do it. So you would have a large number of people who can actually do it, but maybe not be expert drivers. And the competence would be when you, as an observer, you actually see the activity being done. Like activity is done. So these are the terms. Again, they're very minor but very important differences in from the context of CBME. The rationale of the CBME. So the whole point when I started the beginning, I said about the Flexner, what Flexner note and the changes he brought about, including a lot of good things that we have all experienced in our MBBS curriculum. And we all pride ourselves, don't we, about being, experts at mugging. Like you give us any book and we can sort of by heart. That's something we really took pride in. And as we used to really boast to all our other engineering and all other arts and whichever field we colleague, we are the best at mugging. So that was something we were really expert at. The knowledge was our forte. So gradually the feeling that has developed over the past few years that is not enough. So what are the rationale for CBME? So here again, the word has come again, that is outcomes. Focusing on outcomes. So in an era of greater public accountability, medical curriculum must ensure that all graduates are competent in all essential domains. So it is not just good enough to say that so-and-so person or my son or my daughter came first in the first MBBS or got distinction in so-and-so in all the subjects. All that is not enough. It should be able to face the glare of public accountability. That is the whole point of outcome. So focusing on outcomes. Emphasizing abilities. So again, we said, so it's no longer just about knowledge, but the curriculum should emphasize the abilities to be acquired. De-emphasizing time. This again will be a recurring theme that the new curriculum, the CBME, is not time-based, but rather outcome-based. So the end of the course, the end of the race is not the time, but rather the outcome. So competence achieved. So like in ENT, we say that we have got so many topics to be covered and so many competencies to be achieved. So that is the end point is when those competencies are achieved. So again, if I were to go back to my driving license analogy, so to achieve a driving license, you wouldn't say that, okay, it's 1 month. In 1 month, anyhow, you have to get it. No, it's when you do everything correctly and the inspector puts the tick for the red mark or whatever and says pass. So it could be any time from a month to many months to even 1 year. So de-emphasizing time-based training. So it's CBME will no longer be or it's not supposed to be the typical 4.5 plus 1. It would depend on when the student achieves all the desired competencies. And promoting greater learner-centeredness. Yeah, so it's not all about teacher, or it's rather it's maybe you feel a little bad saying this, but it's not at all about the teacher. It's all about the learner. So learner can learn multiple ways. It's not just through the teacher, or not just from the books. And in this day and age, you know what it means. It can be from so many sources. There is YouTube. There is n number of sources. So the learner is free to acquire the knowledge from any of these sources. But finally, the outcome should be demonstrable and accessible. So these are all the rationale for CBME. Now, how does it differ from traditional curriculum? So these are the few things. There are few more also, but these are probably the main things. So traditional curriculum is based on content. So we say that anatomy, okay, there is base anatomy or thoracic, whatever. That's the main book. You have to study the full book and be able to answer anything from that. Or similarly, as you go into medicine, clinical subjects, so you have to know so and so things, and the teacher will ask you this question. So it's all content based. So in CBME, again, that word comes back again. It's outcome based. what can the student be competent to do at the end of the given phase, at the end of the given term, or the end of the given posting, or at the end of the given program. So it's outcome based. Tradition is led by teacher, is led by learner. As I just now had said, it's not just that the faculty, the teacher, the professor who was standing at the head of the class and taking a class with a PowerPoint, or maybe a very good teacher, very good orator, or there are some excellent books which are available. It's not about that. Finally, it's about the learner, how the learner wants to learn. Content is knowledge based, and as we just saw about the public accountability, etc., it's not always aligned to societal needs. CBME, it's application basis. So it's not just about the knowledge, but rather about the application of the knowledge and aligned to societal needs. Assessment here is again one key difference. We give so much importance now to the so-called final exam. So that's the summative exam. And it's norm reference. So you have 50% as pass, so 49 is fail, 51 is pass, and then 70 distinction, etc., etc. So that is norm reference. But CBME will be mostly formative. So it will not be the final exam that's a decider. It would be formative exam. So you have your end posting. Each of these goes into the box of assessment, and each of these has to be cleared. So there are all these are small, or maybe slightly bigger hurdles which the student successfully jumps across and clears. And these are all therefore becomes criterion reference. It's not that there is one exam and 50% of the criteria, no, as the norm. So it's rather each step of various assessments, and also in a given assessment there will be various aspects or various components in a given assessment. So it's criterion reference. In addition, the outcome itself is variable and also defined. What do we say? Somebody says passed MBBS, so my student has cleared MBBS. What does it mean? We don't know. But in CBME is clearly defined. This is via logbooks, portfolios, etc. There are so many things by which CBME will be, the outcome will be clearly defined. So that's another difference. And endpoint, again, as I said, which could actually has the potential to be a controversial topic actually, because traditionally we know what we expect as teachers, as parents of students who are joining the MBBS course. We say that it's the 4.5 plus 1. With of course some extension, etc. could be there, but generally it is the gold standard is 5.5 years. But CBME, that is set to change because if someone does not achieve the competencies in 5.5, 6, whatever. There are of course limits set, but it is variable. So these are the essential differences. But please remember that it's not a huge change. As teachers, as a basic teacher taking a class for a particular phase student, many things would still remain the same. But as I said, the organizing framework has changed quite a bit, especially in terms of assessment and the way the criterion referencing is, and all those things that would be somewhat of change. But the basic teaching aspects would not change much. So we don't have to be worried that this is a totally different thing altogether. Goals. Now, moving on to the next aspect of actually I've sort of come to end to part one of what basically is the concept of CBME. So I've just covered what is basically intended by competency, competency, what does CBME intend to do, and what are the basic differences. Now moving slightly away, although all this is part of CBME goals, if you just have a quick look, you see a lot of things written. There's no poverty, no hunger, good health, etc., etc. So what will strike you as all these things are? These are all very far off or difficult to attain things. So these are called goals. So goals are something that are not necessarily attainable. They are like, when they say to reach the sky and you may reach the moon. So these are very idealized utopia. So that is what generally meant by goals. So similarly, we have goals which are not necessarily unattainable. It should be all efforts to attain, but that is what the concept of goal is. And here we have the goal as set by the Graduate Medical Education Regulation 2012, which is to create an Indian medical graduate. That's the new terminology now. We will no longer be saying MBBS. It's the Indian medical graduate, IMG. Possessing requisite knowledge, skills, attitudes, values, and responsiveness so that he or she may function appropriately as a physician of first contact with the community while being globally relevant. So, we want any medical graduate to have all the.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Umi.
Yeah.
Can you speak closer? Can you get closer to the system because your voice is getting, lower. The volume is
Okay.
going down and this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm quite close to the laptop actually. Yeah. Okay. Is it okay now? Hello. Hello.
Yes, better. Yes, much better now. Yeah.
Okay. I think probably the fan is also playing a spoil sport. Sorry. So, so the idea is to create an Indian medical graduate who has all those, which you already know, what we said, have good knowledge, good skills, good attitude, good value. All those are there, so that she may become a physician of first contact. Now that is a new term which is underlined here. First contact with the community. So the person, the student who has become an Indian medical, who has been declared competent as an Indian medical graduate, should be immediately able to be function as first contact with the community while being globally relevant. So wherever the student goes anywhere in the world, so the IMG is not only Indian, it is also international medical graduates. That is really a goal. Okay? So some of it may not always be attainable, but that's our goal. So these are, if you just look through, ladies would find it, definitely find relevant. So somebody can be a wife, a mother, a sister. At the same time, you can also be a teacher and disciple, so many things. So this means that there are so many roles that one has to play to achieve certain goals. Similarly, our medical student, the Indian medical graduate, has many roles to play to achieve the goals. So when you do all these together is when you have a successful program, successful functioning public health system happening. So roles. These are again 5 roles have been defined by MCA. First is clinician. This is what when we say a doctor, we intuitively think only of this, the clinician. But it's not just that. The person also, we also want to make our student, our IMG, a good leader. We also want to make her a good communicator. We also want to make her a lifelong learner. And we also want to ensure that she's a good professional. These are the 5 roles that have been very specified very clearly by the MCI, that our students, IMG, should be competent clinician, competent leader, competent communicator, competent lifelong learner, competent professional. And these are this is what is laid down by them in each aspect. That the clinician understands and provides preventive and palliative holistic care with compassion. As a leader, a member of the healthcare team system, the capability to collect, analyze, synthesize, and communicate health data appropriately. This now, especially in the COVID era, we have seen, especially if you're watching a regular TV watcher, you realize that you see some people who come forth and can. The second, I'm talking of leader and communicator also, the ability to communicate adequately. So, when I was talking about the TV aspect, I was talking about the communicate aspect. We have seen some doctors who are there who can communicate very effectively about the various aspects of COVID. So that is also something that's important. Again, in this day of litigation, so one of the key things that they say is that doctors are not good communicators. So the ability to communicate with patients, families, colleagues, and community at large is so important. Then lifelong learner. So it's not that, oh, I have learned all this in my, I know whatever is there to learn. I have learned one good book that is good enough for this. No, we have to encourage and to ensure that our students have the attitude to be always willing to look for new knowledge, accept, understand mistakes, and correct, and be able to go ahead with new knowledge and become a lifelong learner. And last, of course, we know that whatever we do, actually, we have to be good professionals. So we have to be committed to excellence, be ethical, responsive, and accountable to patients, committed to professionals. Professionals, of course, is sort of taken for granted. But these are 5 things that have been clearly demarcated as roles. So whenever we say that our student has so and so competency, it is not just that it's a clinical competency. Also should have some aspect of being a good leader, being a good communicator, being a good lifelong learner, being a good professional. Those were the roles of this. So now coming to one next and probably the foundational aspect of the whole thing of CBME. So what you're seeing is a bare outline of a house. Okay. So what would you say is the first step in this? Again, if it is an interactive audience, I would probably ask individually. So I'll just go to the next thing. So this is what would have been the correct answer actually. So brick. So you have one brick, and then on top of that another brick, on side another brick which has been put together of course by the cement or whatever. And so you have many bricks which would then form one wall, and then many walls which would then go around and to build to make up a house. So if you take the house as a competency, so a competency think of is to have a basic house. So the first thing is the laying of the brick, the first brick. And that first brick is the what we call as the SLO, the specific learning objective. So many bricks form a wall. So many bricks, many SLOs form a competency. And many competencies would then achieve a particular aspect of the subject. So like in ENT or in ophthalmology, you have certain competency or a set of competencies which form one part. So many of these would be needed to form that whole thing. So this is the basic concept. So the SLO is really, and that's why it's so important. Like each teaching learning encounter, whether it's just a 10-minute talk, just an OPD session in the teaching session in the OPD or in the OT, or a formal lecture in the lecture hall, each of these sessions should have an SLOs. Or when I say an SLO, it's wrong. It's hardly ever one single. There will be a few SLOs. Each teaching learning encounter should have SLOs. Why? Because those are the basic building blocks, the bricks that would then form the next wall, which would then form the competencies. And then the ultimate goal of all could be a very grand palace house, which may not be attainable. But that's the importance of this thing. So again, definitions. Goal is the definition that the system plans to achieve. So that's the word. Plans to achieve. Competency, again, we have gone through this many times now. And the objective. So statement and objective is a statement of what a learner should be able to do at the end of a specified learning experience. So when we say specific learning experience, it could be anything. You just talk to a student for just 10 minutes. So she asks you a doubt and you explain that one doubt. Even that should have a specific learning objective. So she asks you a question. So in your mind, immediately before you begin speaking, you have this, okay, the specific learning objective of what I'm going to explain would be whatever the answer is to her doubt. So on and so forth. So you're taking a clinical class in the OPD. So it's a patient and you are about to start a class just on the examination of that patient. So immediately your mind should, the first thing that comes to your mind should be my specific learning objective, the SLOs for this particular talk of maybe just 10, 15, 20 minutes would be 1, 2, 3. And that should be achieved at the end of that time duration. So this would be probably one new thing. Although many of us would by default or by habit, we would be doing this, but this now has become formalized. As I said, the organizing framework, this is now very specified and very clear, and it's a must, mandated. So each teaching learning experience must have a specific, again, when I say it's not always one, should have specific learning objectives. Okay? So this is an absolute, probably, if there would be just one takeaway from all this long version that I'm giving, it would be this one thing, the concept of specific learning objective as the building block of the entire edifice of CBME. Yeah, so this is how it goes. So literally hundreds of tens and hundreds of SLOs would achieve tens and 20s of competencies, which would then build towards one or two goals. And this would apply to each of our subjects, ENT, ophthalmology, etc. And then each of these builds towards each phase, and then this builds towards the ultimate objective of, or the goal of having an ideal or a competent IMG. So that was the again end of that part. So covered CBME. I spoke about the goals, the roles, and very important SLOs. Sorry, and this is actually all of you or many of you would have seen the actual competency book that has been given out by the MCS. There are 3 volumes. In each of those volumes, the first few pages, I believe, about 30-40 pages, I think about 47-48 pages would have common content. And I've just taken one from that. So this is how you would sort of enter your topics that you would be teaching. So B is the competency is already specified. List is given to us by the MCA in all our respective subject specific. C would be domains. What do we mean by domain? It could be either a knowledge domain, which means just a basic fact, which is mostly book based, or a S would be skill. That means something has to be done. So in ENT, the easiest thing that I always think of, my favorite topic is the tuning fork test. A specific skill, very, have a specific session on that. So skill could be anything in something that you do with your hands. Then attitude. So uh, the so many things can be related to attitude. So the way of taking the history, way of counseling a patient. So all that is attitude. And again, attitude communication goes together. It comes. So whatever you're teaching could fall into one or sometimes multiple of these domains. So again, that's one thing to keep in your mind. Each time you prepare for a class, you prepare to open your mouth to teach something, all of these things should fall into place. The C, the D, and the E that you're seeing in this should fall into place. So whether is it the knowledge that I'm about to deliver, or is it knowledge for skill, or just skill, or ATCOM aspect. The next is a little bit important. I'll be just talking a bit about in the next slide. So 5 things. K is know, KH is knows how, S is skill, SH is show how, and P perform. I'll just talk about it in a little bit detail. Core is it a core topic or non-core? So we used to say that must know, uh, good to know, and nice to know. So that nice and good are not, you're not seeing it 3 parts, no, you're seeing it 2 parts. So why, when you say why, it means yes. That is, it is a core topic. So the thing that I'm about to teach is core. The student, all the students must know everything about this topic. Or it could be a non-core. A general division is supposed to be 80-20. 80% should be core, 20% should be non-core, but we'll go into details later. So non-core means that it is good for the student to know. Maybe not all teachers, maybe not all institutions could teach all non-core subjects. So non-core would be also be institution and faculty dependent. And then we go on to the teaching learning method. So which work best? So it's a pure knowledge-based thing, just facts. It could be delivered as a lecture. If it's a skill, definitely not. You could show it on a video in a class, but you would have to have a much smaller class as a in your equity. And that again could be group discussions, or what is called as the DOAP, that is do, observe, assist, and then perform. So these are all terms we will come to, but just give an idea, this is how the whole thing works. And then as you go ahead, you have vertical and horizontal integrations. Horizontal would be between the phases, between the subjects in the same phase, and vertical would be between subjects of different phases. So these are the things, and now just quickly going to these aspects. Please forget that, ignore the red arrow, which is just cut off from the entire page. I just want to focus on this. And we'll not talk of the P also, which is that's supposed to be more of the post-internship, postgraduate level. So again, coming to knows how, shows how. Again, I would like to take you back to my, sorry, the driving learning, the driving analogy. So knows would be that first step. You've read the book. So the student has first read the driving license book and knows all the rules. He's like thorough with it. You wake him in the middle of the night and ask her, what does the red signal mean? Or to stop. So everything from the book, uh, she knows perfectly. If you just give her a question, there's multiple choice or a fill in the blank from the book, that's knowledge. So it is just knowledge. Does that make you competent? No, as we saw, that does not make you competent enough. So next, go to the next, that is knows how, which now means it is still knowledge, but it's applied knowledge. So you could ask the student, this driving learning student, that what do you do when you have to change gear? So the student has to apply the knowledge which he has learned and say that I will press my left foot on the clutch, so and so forth. So that is now applied knowledge, not just a straightforward question, not a straightforward MCQ. We're asking a situational question, but it's still knowledge. The person, the student is not doing anything. That is knows how. That's the next level. Then is shows. So now you as an instructor, or maybe it's your child, son or daughter who's learning driving, you are sitting in the side seat and observing. Hello? Hello? Anything? Before there's an interruption. So, and you tell the student, okay, change the gear to first gear, and the student does it very perfectly. Does the right foot movement, left hand movement, left hand foot movement, sorry, and everything is done very perfectly. So the skill has been shown perfectly, but that is still not enough. the shows how is important. That's the next still the next level. So the person, now you're on the road, and without telling, the student changes the gear. So that is the shows how. So now we just covered these 4 phases, and performs would be as mentioned here. It would be the next level of competence, and usually in CBME it would be at the internship level, and in driving analogy it would be to successfully drive the car without any instruction from point A to point B. So this is what we have to keep in mind. The few things to keep in mind the moment you start teaching something. So first of all, there should be an SLO. You should be have in your mind whether it's a knowledge domain, skill domain, or attitude skill communication domain, and whether you want a student in this particular teaching learning encounter, is it just about knowledge, or the student to know how, or show how. So these are all the things that will be covered when we actually go into preparing SLOs and the timetables. Just quick look at the Dreyfus model. So Albert Dreyfus. No. So Alfred Dreyfus, he described this level of competencies or genesis of the expert in terms. I think someone is unmuted. So, I would request all to put in this list. 2 minutes more.
क्या बैटरी गई क्या? हाँ कुछ ट्रैकपैड चल नहीं रहा था ना, अब तो खुल ही नहीं रहा। ऑन नहीं हो रहा है क्या?
Shinal madam, please mute your phone.
मैं लैपटॉप का क्या हो कुछ आइडिया? आज बात की एफेड हो गई इंस्टॉलमेंट से। वो तो दिसंबर एंड बोल रहा है और उसने नंबर ले लिया, बताया तो था तुमको कल। विवेक बोल रही थी शायद आ जाएगा, नोनी बोल रही मतलब ऐसा जैसा डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर से बोलेंगे डायरेक्ट।
Host, please mute all.
Hello.
Sir, unmute. Unikrishnan sir, unmute.
Yes, I have. You please unmute yourself. I have muted everyone.
Sir,
Please start.
Unikrishnan sir, unmute. Unikrishnan sir, unmute yourself.
Dr. Unnikrishnan, please unmute.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew I had to unmute, but I couldn't get the button. Sorry. Yeah, so Dreyfus model. Dreyfus actually described this for the airline pilots. Actually, again, he was also not a doctor, but this is what we say: genesis of the expert. So you begin as a novice, and then you become an advanced beginner. Then you become competent in something, and then proficient, and then mastery. So, so this is how the novice to expert begins, and our aim of CBME is to make our IMGs competent in all those topics that we are planning to teach them. Not proficiency and expertise would come later. And this other well-known Maslow's model. So when you have our new student walking into the CBME course, the student would be have unconscious incompetence, which means that she does not know that she does not know. Okay? And then slowly we educate her, she starts learning. The knowledge helps her to become conscious incompetence. That means she now knows that there is a lot that she does not know. Okay? So she cannot do. That is conscious incompetence. And then with commitment and further learning, she becomes conscious competent. That means she knows that she knows these things. She knows that she can do. She is now, as we say, quietly confident. And then further practice leads to, again, the concept of the step of expert. That is, she becomes master at what she is doing. So she becomes unconscious competence. So again, the aim of a CBME at the end of to have a good IMG, that would be the third square. That is the conscious competence. And this would be the end product, Indian medical graduate who is also fit to be an international medical graduate. And thanks for listening and patient listening. So this was the general idea that was to be conveyed about what is to happen in our curriculum. So as I said, I have not touched much of specifics of ENT and ophthalmology. This will go into as we go ahead later. This is all about general intro to the concept of CBME. Again, once again, take homes would be that first of all, not to fear CBME, not to fear the new monster. These are all doable things. But few changes that we have to make in our teaching learning practice is the concept of SLOs and the concept of core, non-core, and the concept of the teaching appropriate teaching learning method. We can't have lecture for everything, and the concept of whether it's know or knows how, shows how, etc. Right. Thank you. With that, I hand over to Dr. Anuja.
The session is open to you can write in the chat box or unmute yourself.
So as of now, as I understand, we are having every Tuesday, right? So next Tuesday will be the next topic. I think Dr. Anuja can just talk about that.
Yes. You can write in the chat box or WhatsApp group also.
Dr. Anuja can be unmuted. Dr. Anuja, please unmute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we have to start talking about what is the further plan after this.
Yes, sir.
Long boring portion of mine. We have to get down to brass tacks.
Yes, absolutely, sir. First of all, I would like to thank Uni sir for such a wonderful session. And he has revisited me for all the basic concepts and so clearly given in such a short span of time. And for our dear participants, next Tuesday, 7 p.m. in the evening, we would be having the next session. Dr. Rashmi Jain ma'am would be taking that on one of the important bricks, as Unni sir said, specific learning objectives, SLOs, as we call them, in the lingo of medical education. We welcome everybody for any kind of doubts or questions as of now. Thank you.
And I think I would request all to, I know many of them would have request all to visit those competencies, the specific competencies. There is no way of escaping that. So now the real homework begins with studying and reading and studying those competencies which are specified by MCI, or ENT specific and ophthalm specific ones. Right, Dr. Anuja? I think that would be the.
Yes, sir. I think this maybe at least to start off with, we could all just towards we have a week there. We can open ophthalmology is applicable. Just go through it and maybe like a storybook, as Suchita ma'am always says, to start with it like a storybook, and then you will gradually start liking it and become familiar with it, and it will become a part. And I'm sure at the end of 3 months, we would all be able to make SLOs for all our competencies.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think we have a question here. Won't it be better to have sessions in ENT and Opthal separately? Sir, I would like to answer that because the initial few sessions are only for sensitization, which would be for both the specialties together. And then we have individual specialties. Your groups in such a way would be covering your scientific competencies.
I think Dr. Anuja's voice is breaking, some connectivity issue. So basically,
laryngology on auto.
I hope was it here, Vinu? Yeah. So ideally, answer would be the short answer to your question would be yes. In a perfect scenario, ENT ophthalmology separately. That's how we had started off. We thought of initially there's only ENT group, but then we thought the initial part would be common, and because we always go together in the third phase, that's why we collected all the people of ENT ophthalmology. So these talks would actually be common if you realize. The talk on CBME and the talk on SLOs, all that would be together. Yes, as Dr. Vijayalakshmi has very rightly pointed out, this is a genuine example of horizontal integration. But at some point we'll have to split when it comes to real making the SLOs of our individual competencies, deciding the timelines, all that, and then I think we would have to split. Yeah. As of now, let's remain horizontally integrated. Sanjay Vidhi sir, anything,
I think we can, during the in-between period, we can discuss these things. Gradually, you will all be divided into different groups, and you have to make those competencies. It will be best that you go through those competencies in this week and raise issues which Uni sir has beautifully presented.
Yeah, that can take more than a week also, because next week will be the talk on SLOs. Again, it will be I suppose, I assume it will be a generic talk on how to write SLOs, etc. And maybe we could have just one or two examples and then go forward. But by the time, yes, all of you all could just have a go through those competencies and maybe just pick up the very simplest ones, the very basic ones. Meanwhile, there's one more doubt which has come, which is a little tricky to answer now. Somebody has said that, Dr. James Sudhakar saying that some of the private practice, so sessions on Sundays, I'm sure there'll be more no's for this than A's. So open for discussion. I don't know how long, especially now once the pandemic season is over, I'm sure people would be keen to start moving out of their homes on Sundays. There is the first not following the netiquette and typing in capitals. Dr. Vijayalakshmi saying not on Sunday, please. You have your answer, Dr. James.
Okay, sir. Got it.
So yeah, Saturday, Sunday would generally be out. Any other days, time I suppose can be slightly variable. But I suppose 7 is right in the sense, because usually each session would probably take 1 to 1.5 hours. We don't want to go a session beyond 9 p.m. Again, I hope most people would agree. And again, pardon me if I'm being generous or sexist by saying that ladies especially would not want it to go beyond 9 p.m. So 7, really,
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Work best. So 7 to 8:30 is what we're looking at.
Okay, sir.
Meanwhile, just an interesting thing, just a sort of practice, sort of getting into the groove sort of thing. So whenever you're at work is one thing. Of course, we don't have students now. I assume any started. Dr. Vijayalakshmi, Yenepoya started. What is the plan, Yenepoya? MBBS starting?
We have started our students are here from November first week itself, and we are taking
Wow, from November first week. Oh, wow.
Yeah, they are posted. They are posted with us in for the clinics in small batches. So we conduct clinics morning session and afternoon session, batches of 12 to 15 students in the morning, 12 to 15 students in the afternoon.
So already we are having the one problem in CBME, which is so important. CBME is uniformity. We already are facing the issue of loss of uniformity. Because Kerala, nothing has started now. I think it's just today, at least Namrata, the students are supposed to return today or tomorrow, and then followed by 2 weeks of quarantine and to resume by 28. That is, but I think final year and first years. So we know Trishul Medical College. What is the other situation in
we finished our internal assessment also. One internal assessment that is clinical internal assessment we finished, and January first or second week we are planning for
so way
the next
situation. Yeah, sorry.
Sure, actually, the final year students are supposed to start their clinical postings tomorrow. All of them are in the hostels for the past 4 days. So final years will start. Yeah, tomorrow. But fourth years, no idea. First years will start the 1st of Jan.
Yeah. So CBME, I think the MC and MC are mainly concerned now about the first years because to maintain the uniformity is so important. So let's see. So anyway, what I was coming to say is whatever you all are, those who have started classes when you are taking class or even otherwise at home, some activity, just sort of try to think in these terms, the aspect of competency. Again, I give a sports example. I was just thinking maybe some kitchen example. I don't know, like you would say, make a perfectly round roti. So you can that's the competency. So what are the steps? So what are the SLO that various aspects of that? So each activity actually can be broken down. Can think of that way. What is the competency to be achieved, and to achieve that competency, what do I have to do, or if I have to teach someone to do it or to achieve it, what steps are there? So each thing, anything, any teaching can be broken down into these concepts of specific learning objectives, 2 or 3, which then lead to that particular teaching being carried to successfully. I think we have 8:30 now. So nothing else. What's the plan?
Yes, it's 8:30, so we can end it
Rashmi?
now
Rashmi?
if there are no more questions.
Dr. Rashmi, are you around?
Rashmi is here. She is unmuted now.
So if she has anything specific to tell everyone for preparation for the next session, I thought, okay.
Dr. Rashmi is there.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm sorry, my connection got lost. Can you please repeat the question?
So Rashmi, we are winding up for the day. So I was just wondering if you have anything to tell everyone to come prepared for the next session.
No, nothing. I was just following this thing. What I would prefer is that everybody, like what Dr. Unnikrishnan said, let's just go through the booklet if we can. I am aware that a lot of us would be writing the biomedical research examination this weekend. So
Yes.
I'm not very sure that many of us would have time to actually go through the booklet also.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Yeah, but no issues. Let's just go through it and we'll take it slow.
Yeah.
First session, like how we started with the basics of competency, we'll just see now how do we derive the SLOs from them. So initial 2 or 3 sessions, we will go slow and we'll try to incorporate examples from both the branches. So as CBME lies entirely upon integration, so I think it will be a good idea for our faculty, for all of us, to actually experience the integration at our own level. So let's just take it easy and let's see, wait for Tuesday and enjoy. So
Right. Yeah. So yeah, Dr. Rashmi already said what I had as closing comments. So to all of those who are attempting the BCBMR this weekend, all the best. I am writing on Saturday afternoon session.
yeah, same with me, afternoon session. So it's
okay. Your center is close by?
Sir,
yes,
one more
not so
question.
far. Yes, Dr. James.
As we are recording these sessions, are you sharing for those who missed the session?
Dr. Sanjay will answer all these questions.
Yes,
Sanjay.
Sanjay is there, I think.
Yes, I am there.
Yeah, sir, asking if
Yes,
recording.
we are recording all sessions and we will be sharing it. But please allow at least 24 to 48 hours to upload them.
Oh,
I mean, they are uploaded immediately.
Oh, it's okay. Aram se. 2-3 days perfectly. Okay.
I mean, usually what happens that once it ends, a lot of messages start coming. It is not possible to upload it immediately. It takes some time to convert, then uploading. It's a large size file. So
Absolutely understood. No issue.
Thank you.
Yes.